call tonight's meeting to order. Roll call, please, Lisa.
Mrs. Filippo?
Here.
Ms. Burnett?
Here.
Ms. Lynch?
Here.
Mr. Merritt?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Prater?
Here.
Mr. Rose?
Here.
Mr. Schreck?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Okay, stand for the pledge, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, there is no notice of executive session. Any public comments regarding tonight's agenda? Okay, then we'll call in the student representatives, starting with Meadville Area Senior High School, Adam Duffy and Tiffany Unruh.
Hello, good evening. I'm Adam Duffy.
I'm Tiffany Unruh.
And, as you said before, Meadville Area Senior High, we'd just like to kind of update you on what's going on. So kind of start with some sporting events. Swimming just had a meet on Thursday, January 21st, and they're, going through their practices, doing, COVID-related changes. Hockey just had their senior night. It seemed to, be successful. The seniors seem to really enjoy it, even with, the changes and that sort of thing. I know that wrestling and basketball have started their practices. And then kind of more on the activity side, music students, although not allowed to play in schools and that sort of thing, have been trying their best. We're using a program called Smart Music to be able to, practice and still play outside of school to receive feedback from Mr. Walter and Ms. Moyer. And, selected students continuing to do virtual festivals through the Pennsylvania Music Educators Association and the National Association for Music Education. Different festivals have passed, such as the national festivals and different district level festivals.
And continuing on with student organizations, boys basketball is currently 4-1, and they just had a victory against General McLean last Friday. As far as students go, people did have some issues with grades at home when we were fully online, but coming to hybrid seems to have helped a little bit with that transition. Clubs like Eco People have been working on upcycling workshops and are starting to plan a tree planting for spring 2020. And student organizations such as Key Club are still meeting to make a difference despite COVID restrictions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And Crawfordton Junior Senior High School, Michelle Decker and Jaden Rodax.
Hello, I'm Jaden Rodax. Everyone is glad to be back to the hybrid schedule, so we get some in-person learning, and we're all very thankful for all the hard work the teachers and staff have been putting forth to make this school year the best it can be. They've all been working extremely hard to make online learning easy and fun for all the students, while making sure we are learning as much as possible. Although fans and parents can't go and cheer on our sports teams, everyone can still watch them thanks to our live streaming cameras. Our cheerleaders are still able to go to cheer on the teams. Our wrestling team is 4-4 in total and 1-3 in the region. Our basketball team is 4-2 and they play Maplewood tomorrow. Our ASL team has had 2 competitions, one at the school and one from home, and they're hoping to have their next one at the school again. And in February, our student council will be doing fundraising for the American Heart Association. So far, we are planning on doing a trick shot competition, and the winner will receive a prize from the student council. Thank you.
Thank you.
And last, Meadville Area Middle School, Iris Andrecki and Evelyn McCormick.
Hi, I'm Evelyn Simons. I'm Iris Andrecki. We're back in school. Students and teachers will be following the hybrid model until further notice. The students have been doing a great job being flexible and staying focused on their classes during this difficult time.
Boys basketball has managed to get several games this season. The 7th grade team currently has a record of 1-2 with a victory over East. 8th graders are 3-0 with victories over East, J.S. Wilson, and Westlake. Both teams are looking forward to the remainder of the season.
Men's wrestling got the season going Friday evening, beating Titusville 21-6. Scoring wins for the team: Connor Kearns, Lee Jordan, Caleb Anderson, Rocco Woodrow, Ryder Say, and Ben Fuller. Go Dogs!
Paws for Pride are back. We're resuming Paws for Pride program. This program encourages and recognizes students' positive behavior in all settings of the school environment. Rewards include socially distanced pizza parties, gift cards, and other prizes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to approval of minutes. Be it resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves the following minutes. The regular board meeting of November 23rd, 2020, the reorganization meeting of December 1st, 2020, and committee of the whole meeting of January 19th, 2021, and I need a motion.
So moved.
Second. Kevin, thank you. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to our committee reports, and Melissa Burnett with curriculum.
Resolved that this Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves the articulation agreement with Edinburgh University, and I so move.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
I resolve that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves the dual enrollment agreements with Northern Pennsylvania Regional College for 2021 and 21-22, and I so move.
Second.
Okay, Kevin, thank you. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Ross Prather, technology, please.
Okay. Resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves the amending agreement with Questec, and there is an attachment, and I so move.
Second.
Okay, Kevin, thank you. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves the Category 1 and Category 2 E-rate services proposal with Questec. There is an attachment, and I so move.
Second.
Thank you, Melissa. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Jeff Rose, finance, please.
Resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves the following financial activities: the Treasurer's Report for November and December of 2020, financial statements for November and December of 2020, and the payment of bills for December 2020 and January of 2021, and I so move.
And I need a second.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
And separately, the payment of bills for Girardi LP, and I so move.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you, Melissa. Questions or comments?
I'm abstaining from this due to conflict of interest.
Okay, thank you. Delwood? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 8 yeas, 1 abstention.
Resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby accepts the 2019-2020 independent audit, and I so move.
Second.
Thank you, Kevin. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Be it resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves the annual compensation of tax collectors, and I so move.
Second.
Okay, Kevin, thank you. Questions or comments?
There's absolutely no increase in this rate, right?
Guy, that's correct. That is correct.
Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves the following Schedule Ks: K450, bids for multifunction devices and copiers; K451, bids for replacement of roof at Meadville Area Senior High School, and I so move.
Second.
Questions or comments?
Yes, I had a question the other night and forgot it. And it has to do with the copiers and the fact that we didn't take the lowest bid. Now, that's not a problem with me. However, could we run a 220 line and the copiers would run cheaper than if we run it on 110?
Well, Frank, just to let you know, when we went back and did research, what Chris said to us, they didn't meet the specs. So that's why, so you were absolutely right. We went back and checked it. Because they didn't meet the specs, then we get to reject them. So I just want to clear that up with everybody.
And so technically, we did take the low bid.
Right,
Yes.
because they did not meet the specs when we went back and did the research Phyllis had done. Those machines would technically not meet specs. So that's how technically you're right, we did take the lowest one. That's an electrical question. I don't know that one, Frank.
Could we run
Something running on 220 power generally runs cheaper than on 110 if it's used a lot, right?
Correct.
So, to answer my question,
To answer your question, we are getting the specs that run on our current electricity.
That's correct.
well, I understand that.
Right.
But I'm wondering if that was the best choice for me, at least the other night. I'm not saying we're doing anything wrong. I'm asking if we could do better by actually running a line.
I expect we'd have to put a bid out with those, we'd have to re-put it out for bid with those requirements or as options for the copiers so that everyone could rebid based on those specs.
I think what he's asking is,
Yeah, that doesn't answer my question.
we're running on 110 or 120 now.
Correct.
Going to 220, how much of a cost savings could we generate long-term by going with the other machine?
I couldn't answer it at this time.
And I don't think it needs to be answered right now
Yeah.
either. I think it's a long-term thing and maybe we should look at. That's what Frank's getting at.
Yeah.
Now, knowing that
Before
these-
Well, before the next time anyways.
Yeah. So in other words, in terms of your question for long-term usage, should we be looking at that?
Well, that's not my point either, but
Well, Frank, are you?
if short-term saves you money, why only think long-term? And if long-term is better, why think short-term? But yes, I would like an answer to the question, would it run that much cheaper?
Okay, and we're not gonna be able to answer that right now. We have to do the math and do the research.
Well, I agree with that.
Yeah. we have
Frank,
to do that.
I couldn't answer that question either, but that is, because I didn't meet the specs, there are other things taken into account there. We still looked at that bid, but there's other issues when we call them. I mean, my staff really researched this for 2 months on the specs. They wrote them. They also did references as to, there's two parts to that.
Yes.
Running it and there's service to it. And the service side is another questionable thing to the whole project. They can't guarantee the service that many of the other ones can. Now, that wasn't written in there, but I'm telling you that.
Well, that's all right.
No, it
It
wasn't
don't
written on
have to be written down for me to understand.
Yeah, I mean, we have 3 copier people and service people here. They service us within an hour. All right?
Yeah.
So this company is not capable of doing that.
The one with the 220.
Take that into effect. All right?
Yeah.
Mashes and Manses are our biggest buildings, and we need the service there. So along with the fact that they didn't meet the specs, they couldn't meet the service compared to all the other companies that bid. Now, we felt that because they didn't meet the specs, we were gonna not consider them at all.
3 hours.
I
Good
think
answer,
we're required
Thank
to
you.
tell you that, to put that in, that the fact that they bid it, but, I guess my staff and I will learn better that you will need better documentation, because obviously you're confused on the fact that, and there are other issues. We even sent Matt out to the building to see where it could be moved to. Would it be possible to move it there? you know, can we use the 220 in that, you know, and I don't want to speak for Matt, but his recommendation was he wouldn't like to do it there. It could be done, but it's not the best area. So all that was taken into consideration before he said, okay, hey, they got the lower bid, we're going to save money. Well,
God, I think once I talked to Phyllis, one of the big things, Frank, was the service. Once I went back and talked to the assistant business manager, they're talking about a 3-hour wait call for service at the minimum. Okay, we're currently operating under an hour wait call time on a
I thought Guy gave me a good answer.
Yeah,
I'll vote for it, yes, but I wanted my question answered before I voted anything.
Okay, so Frank, are you ready to vote?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves Schedule L budgetary transfers, and I so move.
Second.
Would you get?
Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Jeff and Kevin. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to personnel. Approval of the hybrid learning model for the Crawford Central School year was approved effective January 11th, 2021. And I need a motion.
So moved.
Kevin, and a second?
Second.
I didn't hear. Melissa?
Melissa?
Questions or comments?
I have several comments on this. I'll go along with what we're doing because there's no choice. However, going on 14 years ago, I've been on this board with concerns about our children's education. And never could I have dreamed of today's failures. All of our power of decision has been usurped by state agencies with what has gone on the past 11 months, show their only concern is to increase their power, take away our decisions, not hold the students responsible for anything. And with a lot of these decisions we make, what if the doctors and nurses and all the people in the hospital decided it was not in their interest to work because it was to their health? What about the grocery stores, the car dealers, everywhere? I heard on the news the other night, one of our neighboring counties, their middle school was boasting a 58% failure rate. I mean, I don't have words to really express how I feel about this kind of stuff. It certainly will. The only chance these kids have is to become what we brag about, lifetime learners. Well, they'll probably be 30 before they learn their ABCs at the rate we're going. I wish somebody would answer me, is a hybrid better than nothing? Well, it's better than nothing. That's why I say yes, because there's no chance of us. Let's just go back to school. Let's put the teachers in the rooms. If they won't go, what would all the other organizations that people work for do? So, what are my feelings about my time on this board lately? I'm just plain ashamed. I'm ashamed of what we're doing to and for these kids. If you don't hold a kid accountable, if you don't hold our administrators responsible, if you don't hold our teachers responsible, and this isn't just our district, it's across the state, across the nation. What power do we have here? Which is basically nothing. So that's my only comments. I'm going to vote no on this, though I support Mr. Washington doing what he's doing because it's no choice. But somebody's got to say, no, let's go back and let's educate these kids. That's all I have.
All in favor?
I'd like to say something first.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you. This is actually something that we did have power over. There are a lot of things on school board. The first thing you learn when you get on school board is there are a lot of things that are controlled in Harrisburg and not in Meadville. This one we did, and I would say that Tom and the entire administrative team did their homework. They contacted the Meadville Medical Center. They talked to quite a few people. This was not a directive from Harrisburg. This actually was our administration looked into our local circumstances, the circumstances which exist in Meadville and Cochranton and our areas that we serve, and found that the numbers were appropriate. We went from a closed school to closed schools that were teaching, but not with the kids at school. So I don't like, Frank, when you say doing nothing, because we weren't doing nothing. We weren't in school. Okay. And we went to hybrid, and frankly, and Tom Washington called all the school board members. I'm sure he talked to many people besides the school board, but he did talk to all of us school board members. I voiced concern about going back at that time. And I would like to say that tonight, my vote is yes. I vote in favor, retroactively, of course, of going from the students staying home and being taught to the hybrid system. And the reason I'm changing my vote to yes is because I think it's worked very, very well. It is so easy to criticize a school district or any entity during these times because we're in an almost impossible situation with no history of this kind of stuff. We were never set up to go into a students learning at home or a hybrid system, and yet we're doing it as well as we can. And so I would like to say that I vote yes, and I think it's going very well.
I'm not criticizing Mr. Washington on any way, shape, or form. However, I will disagree with Ross on the mechanics of this whole thing. And it's been brought up in this board and out in the community and all the businesses and stuff. Sure, stay open, but you are open to lawsuits if any of this goes wrong of the decisions we would make.
Well, I know personally, I never was worried about lawsuits. I was more worried about the health of the students and our staff.
Oh, I certainly, yes. But you cannot bury your head in the sand anymore. How long can we bury I shouldn't, leave Mr. Washington out of this.
Right, okay.
Because I'm not criticizing him. How long can we bury our hand in the sand as a community, as a state, as a country, and get away with this stuff? I mean, if anybody read the editorial page on the paper today, our former Department of Health guy went to Washington. Well, I considered that a credit for Pennsylvania and a debit for the country. But look at that picture in the paper. It pretty well explains my sentiments on this, or it puts my sentiments on paper in print. And there just comes a time. I mean, I suppose of everybody in this room, I'm the most vulnerable if you go by age. Open it up. I'll go in the room and sit down with those kids. I mean, that's how I feel about it. My statements are not meant to put that on somebody else. They're for myself. And I've stated how many of my family.
And I'm certain that we could have a debate that would cover all sorts of issues on this, and the opinions are all over the place. Yours represented and mine represented, and I'm not sure that I'm exactly polar opposite to you. But the fact of the matter is, I think we did well because we looked at the data, we looked at what CDC says, we talked to the Meadville Medical Center, we talked to the experts, and we did what we thought was right based on that. So that's why I personally
accept your statements, Ross. They're genuine.
Yeah.
They're genuine.
Okay.
But I disagree with them.
Sure, and that's all right. That's okay. That's okay.
I don't care.
I think we hashed it all out, Jan, so.
Well, I wish Ross and I could both blame somebody or credit somebody for the things we say. But like Ross said, just throw the paper up in the air, whatever lands seems to be the rules we live by anymore.
Madam President.
Anybody has a comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion carries 8-1. We'll move on to approval of personnel schedules, and just so not to confuse anybody, I'm going to separate Schedule D out to vote separately. So we're going to be making two resolutions here. So resolve that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves personnel schedules A, B, E, F, H, and M, and I need a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Kevin. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jeff. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Be it resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves the following personnel schedule D, and I need a motion.
So moved.
Jeff first, Kevin second. Questions or comments?
I'm abstaining for conflict of interest.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with 8 yeas and 1 abstention. At this time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Washington.
Thank you, Madam President. First and foremost, I want to acknowledge to the board that Mitchell Shreve at Neeson Hill received the Golden Apple Award this week, and that's a great honor for him to receive. And so we're so proud that one of our teachers has received that award again. I know we've had some experience with that in the past, but I also want to take a moment to recognize the board. Frank, your comments well taken, but you know, there are a lot of people who work tirelessly in the system. Teachers, cafeteria folks, but you guys too. You come here, you get voted into a position that you don't get paid for, and you take a lot of grief. And I want to take this moment, this is Board Recognition Month, so I want to take this moment to say, Frank, there was no direction for a school board in the middle of a pandemic. Absolutely none. And I just want to say to you guys, I thank you, because you were there. I mean, we have had to take calls on the weekend, we have had to have debates, we've had to go through things, and we always didn't line up in the same spot, the same place, but we all voiced our opinion, and we did what was best for our students. You know, as I said in the beginning when this whole thing started, there is no roadmap. I am out there, that path on my, going through the path, and I just want to say, you guys have done a fantastic job. So I thank you for the work that you've done in this pandemic being board members. And I truly want to say that because I truly mean that. This has been a very tough year, my team will tell you, but you guys have always supported us. And when you had questions, you questioned, which is fine. That's what you should do. So I just want to say we recognize you for all of your hard work and everything that you have done this last year, but particularly during this month. I just want to say from the bottom of the heart, from my team, we want to thank you for everything that you've done and hanging in there with us. I really, really do appreciate it so much. So I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, sir. So, with that, I just want to say we really do appreciate everything you guys have done. This has been tough. We're back in hybrid. We believe it's going well. The numbers in the county are going down. We're watching that. Sports, we've been going, my theory has been with my team, they know it, we go slow to go fast. So the idea was to bring everything going slowly, and then as we go, my vision is we have a strong finish. And so with sports, we're going to start opening that up. Our target was the 1st of February. We wanted to go slow. We had a different target. We hit some bumps in the road, and now we're back looking at just giving 2 tickets per player, athlete, to start it out and then go from there. In a week or 2 or 3 weeks, I'll be calling and checking and looking at numbers, because I do agree with Frank. I do believe kids need to be in school. I do believe that the best place for kids are to be in school in front of teachers. Our teachers have done a fantastic job. They have done an extremely great job when we look at what they've gone through and working with our students virtually. They've done a fantastic job. But we know it's best that kids get back in. We need to get them into sports and clubs. We need to get them in front of teachers in classrooms. I mean, you heard one of the students say when we were struggling with some grades, but when we came back into hybrid, that helped us. And we know that. So as the numbers continue, we continue to watch the numbers. We'll make an educated guess. We'll come to you and we'll say, this is our best educated guess. We think this is what we would like to do. But it will be the same process. It won't be like I'm running crazy and just make a decision. But we do know, based on the research, kids do need to be in school. And so, Frank, I know that this has been challenging, but I just wanted to tell you, we may not have, you're right in terms of governmental agencies that control us. But I can tell you that I'm proud of our teachers, our support staff, our bus drivers, everyone that has delivered something to our kids. I'm very proud of what they've done. In the midst of a global pandemic, people keep forgetting we're in the middle of a global pandemic. And I think Crawford can be proud of that. That I think they can be proud of. Every coach that stepped up, every teacher, every paraprofessional, every cafeteria person, every bus driver, every maintenance person that cleaned, they all stepped up, and I think we can be proud of that. And I understand your big picture, but I think we can be proud of those things in this moment. So I thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board comments?
I would only say I agree with Tom. Retroactively, we voted on this hybrid tonight because it was already, and I voted yes for that. The only reason I voted tonight was because I think we ought to open it up all the way, and Tom has the right to do that. I'll support that. None of it was meant to be criticizing local people.
And I don't take it as criticism, trust me. Not at all.
Because the whole country's in the same Mickey Mouse stuff, and a lot of parents are getting fairly well fed up. It's really the only thing I have ever got a lot of input since I've been on the board is they want their kids back in school. So, yes, that was not directed at anybody in this room. It was, it's systemic all across the country. So, do we agree on that, Ross?
Not sure.
Thanks a lot. No, that's good enough for me.
Okay, be it resolving no further business, this meeting is adjourned at 6:03 PM, and I need a motion.
So moved.
Kevin,
Second.
Melissa, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.